Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I am your host for today and every other day, the Articulate Thinker. Hopefully, here to bring you art, articles, and articulation straight from articulation stations. So be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. If you like it, put a ring on it. Sharing is caring, all that other good stuff. But enough about me. Let's talk about the Speaker of the House. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Donald Trump? Well, he was asked what he thought about that earlier today, the prospect of him being the Speaker of the House. And I'll play that clip for you momentarily, along with a couple of other clips of a couple of other reactions from various notable figures in politics. I'll provide a bit of a reaction of my own. If you want to know what I think, in a more thorough way, I'm going to link a video from my other channel, one of my other channels, my Articulate Thinker Monologues channel, which I uploaded late last night. It is a little monologue about the ousting of the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, by Matt Gaetz and the other gatekeepers of the Republican Party. Yeah, so link in the description box below. Check out that video if you haven't already done so. And I know you haven't because no one has. That channel is not doing so well. I'm trying to grow the numbers over there, so help a brother out. Shout out to you if you do. But if you're here, welcome. And thank you, I suppose, as long as you're sticking around long enough to find out. Stick around, find out, click around and find out. That's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to show you a few things. And if you have anything to show me, let me know. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you know. Because I am, as I said, willing to grow in more ways than one, not just in terms of numbers, just as a person. I would hope that we would all intend as much. But yes, what else did I have to add? I don't want to add too much before I get right into the show. I have to go back to work soon. I'm on my lunch break right now, as per usual. So I'll start with this clip from Donald Trump, or at least of Donald Trump. He has his proceedings in New York, of course. I haven't really spoken to them yet. I may do that at some point. I keep saying that. Haven't really gotten around to that. I can only do so much. And yes, I did cover the House Speaker debacle yesterday. But it was just before the final vote. It was, in fact, between the final vote and the previous vote, which was a motion to table the motion to oust Kevin McCarthy. So yeah, it was kind of clear once the motion to table was killed that he was going to be on his way out. And that's exactly how it played out. But yeah, I don't really have anything to change about what I said yesterday, since it was all coming to fruition at that point. I did, however, swap the names of Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz a couple of times unintentionally. Didn't even realize it until I was at work later. I was listening to the playback. I often do that. I put it on 2x speed and just listen through it, to make sure I didn't state anything inaccurately. And I did just that in a sense. But, whoop-de-doo, right? I just am very particular about such things and hate it when I pull a Biden. Shame, shame, shame. All right, so yeah. Now, before I ramble on any further about, so on and so forth, here is this clip. Posted by Colin Rugg, who said, "Just in, Donald Trump confirms from New York courthouse that he has been asked about becoming the House Speaker, says he would do it." Is that true? And would you be in favor of such a thing? I personally would not. And that's not saying a lot coming from me, but just so you know. That would be epic, says Colin Rugg. All I can say is we'll do whatever is best for the country and for the Republican Party. That's a quote from Donald Trump. And another quote from Donald Trump. "A lot of people have asked me about it. My focus is totally on the election." And of course, all of his legal battles. "If I can help them during the process, I would do it." Help them as in accepting the role, or help them as in helping someone else accept the role. Well, we'll just go ahead and play this 35-second long clip with terrible audio. Could probably find a better version. I did listen to this entire press conference earlier, and it seemed a little bit more clear in the ear to me, but we'll see.
A lot of people have been calling me about Speaker. All I can say is we'll do whatever's best for...
We'll do whatever is best is what he's saying, basically. Sorry if you cannot hear what he's saying. I'll back that up one more time. I can't increase the audio level anymore.
A lot of people have been calling me about Speaker. All I can say is we'll do whatever's best for the country and for the Republican Party. Would you take a job? People. Would you take a say we have some great people. Would you take the job? A lot of people have asked me about it. I'm focused. You know, we're leading. I don't know you. I'm sure you don't read too much in the papers, but we're leading by like 50 points for president. You know, my focus is totally on that. If I can help them during the process, I would do it. But we have some great people in the Republican Party that could do.
Okay. It sounds to me, as unclear as it is, that he didn't actually say that he would do it, as in being the House Speaker. When he said he would do it, he was saying that he would help the Republicans in the process of finding a House Speaker. I mean, Colin Rugg seems to think that Donald Trump was announcing that he would be, well, open to the option. But I don't think that's what he was actually saying. In fact, he said that he was focused on the election. Why would he be like, yeah, I'd be the Speaker of the House when he's just trying to become the president? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So no, I don't think he did say that he would do it. He said that a lot of other people would be fit for the job. And a couple of other people have stepped forward. Here's a headline for you from NBC News. Steve Scalise, Jim Jordan to run for House Speaker after Kevin McCarthy's removal. Live updates. And I'll get into that article if I have the time. But what do you think about what Trump said? And regardless of whether or not he would be open to that option, would you be in favor of it? Like I said, I would not. I personally do not even have all that much interest in voting for him as president. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it if it's him who is nominated ultimately, but I'm just saying I have said since he lost the previous election that I wish he would take a chill pill, for lack of a better expression. Of course, he has all these legal matters to deal with now, and that may be because he's in the running, in which case I'll call it as I see it. I'll call it in his favor or the alternative if I feel that it is fair and square. A lot of different cases, a lot of different trials. It's all very trivial sometimes, but at this point, is it? I mean, he could go to jail for the rest of his life. So whether he's in the big house or the penthouse or the White House, not that there's much a difference between all of those. Anyways, here's something that Joe Biden had to say. Wasn't much. Kyle Becker posted this clip. A reporter asked President Biden what he thought about the speaker situation. He replied, "That's above my pay grade," with a creepy grin. What the heck is that supposed to mean? Okay, I don't know if this is actually a significantly creepy grin or if it's just Joe Biden's natural expression at this point, or one of his two natural expressions. The other one being, "Where am I? Where am I? Someone help me off the stage or off this floor."
Sir, not that they're asking, what's your advice to the next House Speaker?
That's above my pay grade.
Thank you, sir.
So he finally takes questions, and he only takes like 5, I believe. I was listening to this. I didn't actually catch the end of this. Of course, I wouldn't have been able to see his facial expression anyway because I was just listening while working at my actual job. But, yeah, he didn't have a lot to say about that. No surprise there. If he's going to say something, I wish he would actually say something substantive, though. It's annoying how he gets up there, rambles on, gives a teleprompter speech, then takes a few questions, usually off a list of questioners that he has been given. And then he turns around and meanders off out the door. And as he's halfway out the door, he turns around and he just listens for whatever question tickles his eardrum. And then he turns back around just long enough to give some snide or snarky remark or something like that. And then just turns around and walks off without further explanation. I think that's part of the reason why they don't want him to answer questions any further. I mean, during the White House press briefing, shortly after this, Karine Jean-Pierre was asked, as she sometimes is, if Joe Biden could come to a press conference and actually answer questions instead of just sending his mouthpiece, KJP, out there for him all the time. It wasn't asked in that way, but that's the gist of it. And of course, she said, I don't have anything to announce. He takes questions. He took questions a couple of times this week. Takes questions. Yeah, and these are his answers. These are the types of answers he gives. He gives a couple more lengthy ones, and then he's already got his foot halfway to the door, if not halfway out the door. And I don't know if that's because of his own preference, or if it's because of the preference of his puppet masters, his handlers. I can't really blame them, considering he is slipping up constantly, including today. He said, for example, that he was worried about the future funding of Ukraine, because not everyone supports that. He actually expressed that he was worried, which is contrary to what the White House has been saying week after week, after month, after month, after month. They've been saying, oh, he is confident. He is confident this. He is confident that. As long as it takes, we are going to be funding them. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, he's like, of course I'm worried. And then when his press secretary is asked about that, she has to then pretend that there has been no self-contradiction whatsoever. And essentially pretend that he didn't even say that he was worried, even though he literally did. They're like, and by they I mean the press, are like, okay, so he says he's worried? So is he worried or is he confident? Which is it? And she's like, oh, he's confident. He's not, well, I'm not denying what he said, but he's not worried. He's confident. So he's not denying it? He's not denying? Or you're not denying that he's worried? Or that he said he's worried, at least? Well, I don't want to go any further than what he said. Well, what he said was that he was worried. Well, he is confident. My goodness. He's supposed to be giving a speech in the very near future about future funding of Ukraine. However you come down on that issue, it is clear that Joe Biden has not been very clear, especially when it comes to the end goal, whatever that is. You know, that is a question. One of many. Another question, obviously, is who is going to be the next Speaker of the House? Is it going to be Jim Jordan? Is it going to be Steve Scalise? Is it going to be Donald Trump? Or someone else? And in case you're wondering how anti-Trump I am, I'll have you know that I voted for Trump. I've said that plenty of times, but that's because it's true, and I think it would do more people good to refrain from simping for their preferred candidates. I mean, there's too much of that going on. People will criticize their opposition for everything under the sun, anything and everything under the sun. And if their preferred candidate does the exact same thing even, they'll suddenly, if not ignore it, they'll outright support it. That's what happens when you simp. So I try not to do that. But I try not to be either deranged or attached. So none of that Trump derangement syndrome, none of that Trump attachment syndrome either. Not that this is even about Trump. It's just that everything is about Trump these days. So there's that. Breaking, says Benny Johnson. McConnell calls for the House to get rid of the motion to vacate rule because it makes the Speaker's job impossible. That's another question. Should the rule be done away with? Of course, you're not going to agree with McConnell there if you agree with with Gaetz and his successful attempt to oust the Speaker of the House. But if you are on the side of the Speaker of the House, as most Republicans, at least in Congress, were, well, you might agree with Mitch McConnell here for once. Well, actually, I think most Republicans would agree with Mitch McConnell on most things. It's just that he's an old turtle. He's an old shell of himself. An old politician. An establishment politician. And a lot of people believe that he himself should no longer be a politician. But of course, Kevin McCarthy is going to continue to be a politician, as is Mitch McConnell. And in Kevin McCarthy's case, he just will not be the Speaker of the House anymore. Especially since he himself has decided not to run for the next Speaker's election. That's something else I forgot to mention earlier. He is not going to be in the running for that.
I'd like to start by thanking Speaker McCarthy for his service. We had a great personal relationship, trying to lead two very different parts of the American government. I think he has much to be proud of. We avoided a government shutdown. We did the inevitable with regard to the debt ceiling, and I'm one person who's extremely grateful for his service. I have no advice to give to House Republicans except one. I hope whoever the next speaker is gets rid of the motion to vacate. I think it makes the speaker's job impossible, and the American people expect us to have a functioning government. On the Senate side, we need to get as many appropriation bills passed as possible. The majority leader's indicated that's what he would like to do as well, and he'll have plenty of cooperation from us in trying to achieve as close to a regular appropriations process as we possibly can.
Sorry, I was eating soup while the clip was playing. Only have so much time here. So yeah, I'm not going to get into all of the appropriations technicalities. That's not what I want to speak to today. I need to look into some of that anyways. Further educate myself on the matters. But as for what he said about doing away with the motion to vacate, or the possibility for it, the potential for it, I would like to know how long that option has been available. Like, is that something that has always been constitutionally available to them, or at least congressionally available to them? And if so, what's the history of removal of speakers by their own party? Although in this case, it was only possible because the small number of Republicans who wanted Kevin McCarthy gone sided with all of the Democrats who wanted him gone. But as for my more extensive thoughts on that, yeah, check out that Articulate Thinker monologue I made and uploaded on my other channel. Link in the description box below. What was I saying? I would like to know what the history of that is, because if it has only happened once, I'm not going to act as though it's happening constantly. Of course, with these sorts of unprecedented things, there we go, there's always the fear, depending on who you ask, that it will become the new precedent, and that, well, each new speaker will face the same consequences, whether fair or unfair. So all of that is worth taking into consideration. I just haven't decided for myself if I think that is something that should be possible, something that should be potential for future speakers of the House, or against future speakers of the House, I should say. But you may have a different opinion on that, or any opinion at all. What do the headlines say? Yeah, here's this one at the top from NBC News. I'll go ahead and get into that one. I have that article pulled up already. So, here it is. With Representative Patrick McHenry. Patrick McHenry. We'll go with that. Can't talk anymore. Republican from North Carolina, in place as temporary speaker. The House will hold an election for McCarthy's permanent replacement next Wednesday. I also saw something about how the temporary speaker, Patrick McHenry, had vacated Nancy Pelosi's office in Congress. I don't know what that's all about, or if it's even true. Might look into that later as well. But yeah, maybe he's running to be the next full-time speaker as well. Patrick McHenry, that is. McCarthy and McHenry. We went from McCarthy to McHenry. For some reason, McCarthy is a lot easier to say than McHenry. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. What to know about the historic removal of McCarthy as House Speaker? McCarthy, Republican from California, was ousted from the speakership in a historic vote yesterday. Hours later, he announced he won't try to reclaim the position. Selfless thing to do on his part. Though I don't know why he would give it another go if it didn't go so well this time. This is the first time in U.S. history that a Speaker of the House has been voted out of office. Oh, so the first time. So Mitch McConnell says it should be the last time as well. Things to think about. But yes, Representative Patrick McHenry, got it right that time, Republican from North Carolina once again. I could skip the credentials from here on out. Will now serve as the temporary speaker under House rules. Representative Jim Jordan became the first candidate to say he is running for speaker. Representative Steve Scalise was making calls today to build support. Republican Study Committee Chairman Kevin Hern has also suggested he may run. All of these individuals had a vote on the table for them at some point, I believe, during the initial election or selection of Kevin McCarthy to speakership. Back when they had to go through vote after vote after vote because certain Republicans, starting with Matt Gaetz, were trying to prevent him from becoming the speaker. Of course, Matt Gaetz ultimately had his way. Not that they will have a better speaker now. Can't say for sure. House Republicans will gather October 11 to hold internal elections to nominate McCarthy's replacement. His possible successors include members of his leadership team and some top conservative allies. The House plans to leave for a week and will hold a speaker election next Wednesday. House adjourns until Friday morning, blah, blah, blah. Democratic Representative Elise Stotkin says McCarthy didn't ask Dems for help to bail him out. Yeah. But Matt Gaetz didn't even have to ask. They were willing to be an accomplice in his crime against Congress. Newt Gingrich calls it treason, I believe. So that's a theory that's out there. I don't really have a hardline stance on what happened. I'm not a big fan of any of these politicians. But as for Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, here are their announcements. This one from Steve Scalise over on his House page, his personal website. Yeah. Scalise announces run for Speaker of the House. There's quite a bit of text here. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise sent a letter to his colleagues today seeking their support for the House Republican Conference's nomination for Speaker of the House. The full text of the letter can be found here and below. And here you go. Let's see. I'm almost at 25 minutes. I am at 25 minutes. I don't know if I want to spend time reading into the letter of this. The letters of this. But here's Jim Jordan's press release on his website. Chairman Jordan announces run for House Speaker. I'm just kind of speed reading through it silently to see if there's anything worth noting. This one's a little shorter. I've seen some support for him over here on the Twitter trending page. Travis says, I believe he'd be a great choice for speaker. Travis and Flint, someone with a significant following. I saw where Charlie Kirk also supports Jim Jordan. Not that he has a vote in it, but I'm just saying. If this entire process ends with Jim Jordan as the new House Speaker, then Republicans will be in great position moving forward. Jim Jordan for House Speaker, says Charlie Kirk. I'm not saying I disagree with him. I'm not saying I agree either. I have to think about it more. I mean, we kind of know what these men stand for. The congressmen, that is. Especially Jim Jordan. He is a little bit more vocal than Steve Scalise. Steve Scalise has some health issues going on, I might add. So I'm not sure how all that's going to play out. But until I know more, that's what I've got for you. So yeah. Keep in touch, keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Peace.